Technology problems are rarely technology problems. Who owns the outcome? Nobody can answer that in 10 seconds. The transformation is already at risk. People are afraid of uncertainty.
This is the Future of the Future show. I am your host, Mateo Berbejicio. Why do so many transformation programs fail, even when they have executive support, talented teams, and plenty of investment? In this episode, I sit down with Sridhar Ravilla, fractional executive, transformational leader, and author of Transformation That Lands and Humans at Scale, to explore the gap between strategy and execution. We discuss what it really takes to deliver lasting change, how organizations can approach AI transformation without losing sight of the human element, and what leaders should be doing right now to navigate uncertainty and drive meaningful outcomes. Sid, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Mateo. Glad to be here this morning. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. Sid, you spent decades leading large-scale technology and business transformations. Looking back, what are the key moments in your career that shaped your philosophy on leadership, execution, and transformation?
So one of the biggest lessons, Mario, came early in my career when I realized that technology problems are rarely technology problems. I would walk into programs that had people, talented people, solid budgets, great technology, and executive support. On paper, everything looks great, yet the progress was very slow. So what I actually discovered is that execution breaks down when ownership becomes unclear, when there is no clarity. Everyone is involved, but nobody feels accountable. Another defining moment was leading large-scale teams where decisions impacted hundreds of thousands of people. At that scale, you can learn quickly that leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about creating the clarity when everyone else sees complexity. The
Right.
takeaway is simple. Technology scales, processes scales, AI scales. Judgment, ownership, and leadership do not.
Today, as you work as a fractional executive helping organizations navigate change, why do you think more companies are turning to fractional leadership, and what problems that are typically trying to solve when they bring you in?
Well, in my experience, what I noticed is I think companies are realizing that they don't always need a full-time executive.
Right.
Sometimes they need just experience. For example, a founder might be facing a scaling problem they have never encountered before. A PE-backed company may need operational discipline.
Right.
A leadership team may know something is broken but can't quite identify where. That's where the fractional leaders come in. We are not there to manage calendars or attend meetings all day. We are there to accelerate decisions, reduce risk, and transfer experience, Matteo. So most companies call me for one of the three reasons. First, growth has outpaced leadership capability. They scale too fast, too soon, but leadership is not following. Second, the transformation has stalled, poured multi-million dollars into the transformation effort. They don't see the results they're expecting. Customers are frustrated, employees are burned out, revenue is not coming. Third, they are trying to adopt AI, but aren't sure where the business value actually comes from. The common theme across all these three problems, Matthew, it's a lack of clarity.
In your book, Transformation That Lands, you focus heavily on execution. Why do so many transformation programs get approved with enthusiasm, but then fail to deliver meaningful outcomes? And what separates the few that actually succeed?
Because PowerPoint slides are easy.
Right.
We hire vendors, we hire, consultants, and they come up with fancy PowerPoint slides. I call them pie in the sky. But when you have to bring that pie to the table to consume, that's hard. That's execution. So PowerPoint slides are easy, but execution is very hard. Most transformations, again, start with energy, presentations, like you said, strategy decks and execution excitement. Then reality shows up. People have their regular day jobs, priorities compete, budgets shift, leaders move on, And suddenly the transformation becomes just another initiative.
Right.
Transformation cannot be something like changing your website color, changing your product name, making it a better logo. Transformation is all about a permanent change and giving a different experience, a new experience to your customers and employees, and a complete revenue stream. So the organizations that succeed do something different. They simplify. Instead of launching 20 priorities, they focus on three. Instead of measuring activity, they measure outcomes. Instead of creating more governance, they create more ownership. So, one of my favorite questions is incredibly simple: who owns the outcome?
Right.
If nobody can answer that in 10 seconds, the transformation is already at risk.
Right. Very clear. Um, Now, in humans at scale, you explore AI transformation, but from a human perspective. With so much focus on technology today, what do leaders consistently underestimate about the people side of AI adoption?
Well, first and foremost, it's the fear. That's my second book, Humans at Scale. I've written that book explicitly because it bothered me a lot. Whenever there is an layoff happen, they tie that into AI.
Yeah.
Oh, we are just going AI. We have to invest in AI, so we're going to let people go. And that's the fear. And not because people are afraid of AI itself, people are afraid of uncertainty. Employees want to know what happens to my job, what skills matters now, how will success be measured. Most AI programs, as you know, focus on the tools before trust. That's
Right.
backwards, in my opinion. So I have seen organizations spend millions on AI platforms while investing almost nothing in helping people understand how their roles will evolve. Rather, they just cut them. So the best transformation, AI transformations, aren't technology projects. They are mostly leadership projects. I'm not saying AI can replace people. It can to some extent, but that's not the sole purpose of AI. You have to evolve the leaders and the people, humans aspect of it. When AI can scale, so humans also need to scale. That's what the book is about: humans at scale. So leaders who win are the ones who make people feel included in the future instead of threatened by it.
Right. And I've been talking to a lot of people about this, and it seems the industry is doing the opposite, right? As you were saying,
Yep.
right now, we are doing a disservice for people in the, especially in the technology industry. Do you think?
Yep.
Very good. Now, many organizations find themselves halfway through a transformation that is off track or failing. When you walk into a recovery situation, what are the first signs you look for, and what role does change management play in getting things back on course?
It changes the type of scenarios. As I mentioned, they call me for three different things, right? In this case, it's a recovery. The first and foremost thing I look at it, I mean, you will laugh at this, is the green dashboard syndrome.
Okay.
Everybody, a project manager knows this, top executives knows this. They see these green dashboards all day, all long, right? Everything appears healthy. Status reports are green. Meetings are happening. Milestones are technically being met. But yet, you don't see your customers happy. The revenue is not improving. Employees are again burned out and frustrated. That's usually a sign that people are measuring activity. Everyone is busy. So you ask an employee end of the day, they say, "Oh, I was so busy." But if you ask a different question, what did you achieve this week? You started Monday, you thought about your goals. You come Friday, if you ask him, they say, "Yes, we are very busy. There's a lot of activity going on." But if you ask him, what did accomplish? What is the outcome of your work for 1 week? You don't get anything.
Yeah.
So simply people are busy, but they're not measuring the outcomes. That's when I look for ownership gaps. Who's accountable? Who makes decisions? Where are decisions getting stuck? As for change management, when it comes to recovering a project, I think we have overcomplicated it. At its core, change management is helping people understand three things: why are we changing? What's changing for me? How will we know it's working? This is the important question. How will we know it's working? Not by just people being busy, people being burned out and showing their green dashboards. You got to have a tangible way to know that there is a clear change in behavior with customers, employees, and your revenue stream. And if leaders can't answer those questions consistently, resistance starts to grow. And that's what few things I look at when I go step into a project that I need to recover.
Um, let's talk a little bit about AI disruption. Executives are dealing today with, AI disruption, economic uncertainty, shifting customer expectations, and constant change. As a last question to you, Sid, what advice will you give leaders trying to make smart decisions and keep their organizations moving forward in such an unpredictable environment?
Yeah, I know you have two questions there. So let me address the first
Okay.
question on the AI disruption and economic uncertainty, right? The temptation during uncertainty is to move faster, right? There's different type of leaderships. Some people are driven by fear. Some people are driven by, FOMO, fear of something missing out. No matter what the leadership style is, they want to move faster. I actually think the leaders need to think clearer, not faster, not to move faster, right? They need to clearly understand the organizations that struggle are usually moving too slowly. They are trying to do too much.
Mm.
When uncertainty increases, clarity becomes a competitive advantage, reduces priorities, reduces complexity, create ownership, communicate relentlessly. That's what gives you the competitive advantage. And I remember something I have learned after 25 years leading transformations. You don't need perfect information to make a good decision. When I say perfect information, you don't need all the data in the world to arrive at a good decision. You need enough information, but good judgment and willing to adjust when reality changes. That's the driver. The leaders who thrive in the next decade won't be the one with the most AI, in my opinion. They'll be the ones who can combine technology with judgment, curiosity, and trust. Okay, that's the AI disruption, economic uncertainty, and shifting customer expectations, Mario. But one advice for leaders to make smart decisions to keep organizations going, that's my passion these days, right? I am helping leaders simplify complexity. We are living through a period where technology is advancing faster than most organizations can absorb it.
Mm.
Everyone is talking about AI, automation, transformation. What fascinates me is the human side of that equation. How leaders make decisions, build trust, create ownership, and help people adapt to change. That's where I spend most of my time today.
And what do when you're coaching someone, when you're coaching executives and we're helping, what is the one thing you want them to learn, or the one thing that makes you proud? Like, okay, now they get it. There's a transformation going on with them, and they are better executives now that they figured this one out.
Well, there are a couple things, but one thing that comes to my mind is if there's one thing, that I want your listeners to take away. I keep repeating this mantra. Most organizations don't fail because they lack strategy. They have enough. They fail because execution loses ownership.
Right.
So next time something isn't moving fast enough, ask a simple question. Who owns the outcome? That one question reveals more than any dashboard, any reports, or steering committee ever will. So that's what I ask. Solve that. Who owns the outcome? Who is the one person going to be impacted if this transformation fails? Who can I fire today if the transformation fails? That's the key.
Who owns the outcome, ladies and gentlemen? The most powerful question we can ask ourselves today. Sid, thank you so much for being on my show. I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing so much about your experience and your advice. If anyone wants to get in contact with you, how should they go about that?
Oh, I'm on Amazon. You can search my name. There are books published there. Obviously, I can send you the links, my LinkedIn profile, and my consulting, just a Strawway, which is the framework I built, trademark, Mario. I'll send you those links as well. Absolutely, they can drop a note there, or they can reach out through you.
Very
So
good. Very good.
I'm available anytime.
Sid, thank you so much. I hope that we can stay in touch and do this again in the future.
Absolutely. Great conversation, Maria. Thank you so much.